Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitasaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate. Thank you, Swamiji, for your very flattering introduction. I feel flattered, but I'm happy nevertheless because everybody likes flattery. In Hindi they say even God also likes flattery. With that, as Swamiji said, we'll first summarize this text, Tattvabodha. Tattvasya bodha, Tattvabodha. Bodha means knowledge. Tattvabodha, the knowledge of Tattvam, the knowledge of truth. Upanishad says, Atma avare drashtavya. You must know the self.
Recording in progress.
Atmani drashte idam sarvam viditam. By knowing the self, knowing the truth, you know everything. Tattvabodha buddhiman syat kritakrutyasya bharata. Lord Krishna says, gaining this knowledge, one becomes buddhiman, possessed of buddhi, possessed of intellect, in the true sense. Kritakrutyasya bharata. This knowledge makes one feel kritakritya. And now the sense that I have done whatever needs to be done in my life. There is a complete satisfaction with oneself, with what needs to be done, with what needs to be known, with what needs to be achieved. A complete satisfaction, contentment, which is what one is seeking in life all along. And therefore, the purpose of life gets fulfilled by Tattvabodha, by the knowledge of Tattva, knowledge of truth, which happens to our own self. Knowledge of truth is the same as knowledge of the self, knowing myself. Now, knowing myself is what I need to do sounds rather strange. Because I know myself, I know who I am. Vedanta says that is a problem, that I know myself. Meaning that I am constantly aware of myself. And therefore I have a conclusion or an opinion about myself all the time, which unfortunately happens to be quite contrary to what I truly am. Whereas, as the Upanishad says, as the Vedanta teaches, that you are Brahman, I am limitless, so limitlessness is my nature. As revealed by Upanishads, by Vedanta, by the scriptures. But my own perception of myself is that I am a limited being. On one hand, I have this perception that I am limited. On the other hand, I am not comfortable with myself. I am not comfortable with the self that I perceive. I am not comfortable with the limited self that I find myself to be. And therefore, in the words of my teacher Puja Swamiji, I am the problem when I know myself wrongly. Therefore, I become the solution when I know myself rightly. Since there is already a wrong knowledge about the self in my life, and since that wrong knowledge or that wrong perception is the cause of my sorrow and all my conflicts in life, therefore, the right knowledge, yathartha jnanam, knowing the self as the self or I truly am, is a solution to all my perceived problems and is a means of achieving what it is that I am seeking in life. Therefore, the importance, not only importance, inevitability, absolute necessity of Tattvabodha, necessity of self-knowledge. As human beings, we cannot do without that. Either we know ourselves rightly, or unfortunately we know ourselves wrongly, as it is right now, and therefore right knowledge is a solution. That's what Tattvabodha, this text does. It gives us the right knowledge, right perception of ourselves, and the way Vedanta unfolds this is by first explaining why do we have the perception about ourselves that we have. What is the reason why I look upon myself as a limited being? The question is, if limitlessness is my nature, what is the reason why I take myself to be a limited entity? The answer is that limitedness is indeed someplace. There is something about me that is limited, but the limitedness is not where I think it is. There is certainly limitedness. This body is limited. My mind is limited. My sense organs are limited. My intellect is limited. I am limited time-wise, place-wise, memory-wise, knowledge-wise. In every way, there is limitation about something about me. But Vedanta teaches that limitation is not where I think it is. There is limitation, but not in the self. It is what Vedanta says in non-self. Meaning that what I take to be the self right now has two components. One is the self that truly I am, and other is the non-self, Atma, Anatma. So this body, sense organs, mind, intellect, which I habitually take to be myself, and which are limited in every way, Vedanta teaches and helps us understand that that is not the self. There is birth and death that's in the body. There is limitedness in the mind, intellect, in my personality. But I am the person manifesting through a personality. That I, which we call ego or individual self, has these two components. One is I, the self, other is the non-self. They are both lumped together, and therefore the limitations belonging to non-self, to anatma, to the body, to the sense organs, to the mind, those limitations are taken to be limitations belonging to the self. Vedanta says this is aviveka. Viveka, separation. Separating the self from non-self will be called viveka. Lumping together the two is aviveka. Non-discernment, non-discrimination. Which means that we are born with aviveka. Born with non-discrimination. Where there are two, I take them to be one. And therefore, Vedanta teaches that it is necessary to recognize anatma or non-self as non-self, for us to recognize the self as a self. So in what I call I right now, the self and non-self both are lumped together. I should recognize, like an actor who is wearing a costume, like a very wealthy actor who performs the role of a beggar, and the actor who is very wealthy is playing a role of a beggar on the stage. Imagine that for some reason. Maybe intoxication. He thinks that I am a beggar. Rather than knowing that I am playing the role of beggar, thinks I am a beggar. Then somebody has to teach him that beggar belongs to your costume. Thus Vedanta teaches that there is a costume, non-self. So Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Discerning or discriminating Atma from Anatma, the self from the non-self, the actor from the costume. So a question is asked here in Tattvabodha. Atma kaha. What is the nature of the self? Answer is given. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktah, Panchakoshatitah, Avasthatra, Sakshi San, Satchidananda Swarupa San, Yastishtati Satma. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktah. I, truly, what I am, the Atma, the Self, I am Vyatirikta, quite distinct from Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira. So this costume, the non-self, is further divided for the sake of our easy understanding. This body, called Sharira, is explained as consisting of three levels or three layers: Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Gross body, subtle body, causal body. Sthula, who am I? I am the witness of these three bodies. These three bodies are of the nature of costume, and I am the one who wears the costume. So first is recognizing the distinction between the body and the self. Lord Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Idam shariram kaunteya Kshetramita vidire kaunteya. Hey Arjuna, this body, the gross, the subtle and causal body is kshetram, is drishyam, is anatma, is non-self. Etadyo veditam prahu kshetrajna. The one who is knower of this body is called kshetrajna, is the self. The known and the knower. The seen and the seer. A simple method is applied here called druk, drishya viveka. Separating the drashta from drishya, subject from object. Panchakoshatitaha. Other way of looking upon this cosmos is panchakosha. The 5 sheets. See, Tattvabodha is a text. It's called Prakarana Grantha, Prakriya Grantha. It explains various models that are used in different places in the Vedanta. One model is to describe the Atma as different from the 3 bodies, as I just said. Panchakoshatitaha. Other is to enable us to see that Atma, the self, is beyond Panchakosha, 5 sheets. So this personality also is called sheath. Like a scabbard is for a sword. How the scabbard prevents us from seeing the sword which is in there. So also as though this personality made up of 5 sheets, as though prevents us from seeing ourselves as truly we are. Tattvabodha explains these 5 sheets are Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. From the grossest level to the subtlest level. Panchakoshatita. Recognize that you are the seer, witness, illuminator. You transcend the 5 sheets. Annamaya, the gross body, made up of modification of food. Then there is subtle body, which consists of the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, a sheath of vital air, Pranamaya, a sheath of mind, Manomaya, emotional faculty, a sheath of intellect, knowing faculty, Vijnanamaya, and what is called bliss sheath, the sheath made of bliss or ananda, happiness. We have to progressively recognize ourselves as different from these 5 sheets, progressively, from the grossest to the subtlest. Avasthatraya sakshi san. The third method also employed in the Upanishads is avasthatraya viveka, recognizing the self as the witness. Avasthatraya sakshi, the witness of the 3 states of mind called waking, dream, deep sleep. This avasthatraya viveka is the main topic of the Mandukya Upanishad. The Panchakosha Viveka is the main topic of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Waking, dream and deep sleep. When the self is identified with the gross body, then it interacts with the gross objects of the world. That state is called waking, as we are in right now. Then you give up the identification with the gross body when you go to sleep first. And there still remains identification with the subtle body. That state is called dream state, where there is predominance of subtle body. There is no contact with the external gross world. There is a dream world, a projected world projected by the mind. You further withdraw yourself give up identification, even the subtle body, and then there is identity with the causal body. That's what is called deep sleep state. So gross, subtle, causal, waking, dream, deep sleep. In each of these states there is subject and object, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Waker is called Vishwa, dreamer is called Tejasa, sleeper is called Prajna. Self is, so these are all three roles that the Atma plays. In waking plays the role of the waker called Vishwa. In dream, in identification, subtle body plays the role of a dreamer called Tejasa. In deep sleep, in identification, causal body plays the role of sleeper called the Prajna. They're all roles. So one who pervades all the roles and transcends all the roles. It's called Turiya, the fourth. Fourth is not fourth, but counting waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, the self is as though called the fourth. So Tattvabodha unfolds the true nature of the self with reference to the three bodies, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, or the gross, subtle, causal bodies, or the waking, dream, deep sleep states, or the five sheets. This is one aspect of one part of teaching of Vedanta, helping us recognize the true nature of ourselves as a consciousness that pervades this anatma but transcends anatma. The nature of consciousness that illumines anatma, the non-self. Second thing that we have to know in our life is what is this creation that we are confronting. Therefore, Tattvabodha also explains the creation, the universe, and starts the process of evolution from the very first cause called Maya. How Maya slowly transforms itself into. So Maya is the causal state, the cosmic causal state, then cosmic subtle state, cosmic gross state. The individual gross subtle causal bodies, the cosmic gross subtle causal bodies. Cosmic gross body is called Virat. Cosmic subtle body is called Hiranyagarbha. Cosmic causal body is called Ishvara. All three states of Maya. Consciousness or Art self identified with Maya is called Ishvara. Consciousness identified with the cosmic subtle body is called Hiranyagarbha. Consciousness identified with the cosmic gross body is called Virat. Again, these are the cosmic costumes. The one that pervades all of them and transcends them is the same consciousness. So, then Tattvabodha unfolds this Mahavakya, the major statement called Mahavakya Tattvamasi, that thou art. Hey, you who takes yourself an individual being is no different from the cosmic being Ishvara. So Jiveshvara Aikyam, the identity of Jiva and Ishvara, individual self and cosmic self, one self, one consciousness alone, functioning to this individual part is called Jiva, same consciousness, manifesting through the cosmic upadhis called Ishvara. From the stem of Chaitanyam, there is only oneness. Thus Vedanta and Tattvabodha teaches how there is one truth called consciousness. And what is consciousness? Chit is also Sat or existence. And Sat and Chit happen to be boundless of Ananda. So one Satchidananda, Satyam Jnanamanantam, is called the Self, the truth of individual, truth of Ishvara, truth of Jagat, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, the individual, the universe, and the creator. They are all three manifestations of one self, one consciousness, one truth, one Brahman. That's what you are, that's what I am, that everyone is, that's what everything is. Brahman means limitless. This limitlessness is the truth of what is, and truth of myself, truth of you, truth of everything. This knowledge is possible to gain in this life when we pursue the knowledge at the feet of a competent teacher who unfolds this to us. And one who has gained this knowledge and abidance in knowledge is called Jivan Muktaha. Jivan while living, Muktaha liberated, liberated while living. This Vedanta presents this very noble goal before us, that you can be liberated, free while you are alive. Jivan Mukta. And so the text concludes by a description of Jivan Mukta, how he is free, liberated while living, free from all the bondage. All the bondage is only notional. It is what is called moksha, is the removal of the bondage, the notion of bondage. There is no real bondage, so there is no real liberation. What it is, the dispelling of the notion of bondage. To discover that I always was liberated, that moksha or liberation is my nature. It is an accomplished fact. Bondage is a notion born of ignorance of myself, and moksha is the elimination of that notion by the knowledge of the true nature of myself. This is in essence what Tattvabodha teaches. So Swamiji, I think I will now conclude here for the moment, and now we can open the session for questions.
Recording in progress.
Swami, Guruma, you are muted.
Yeah, I have to ask Dr. Bhatia. He had already told me that he has a question. So Dr. Bhatia, then Suchismita, and Kaushalanka and Suchismita. Okay, you three are there. Yes, Dr. Bhatia, I will spotlight you along with Swamiji. Okay, add spotlight. Yeah, you can ask him your question.
Hari Om Swami.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Pranam.
Very good.
Just wanted to ask कि आपने अभी बताया कि सत्य चित्त है और चित्त ही आनंद है,
हाँ जी.
ये कैसे पॉसिबल? तीनों अलग अलग लगते हैं.
So the question is, that we say Sat Chit Ananda. What is Sat? Is Chit. What is Chit? Is Ananda. How can that be? Because they all three look different from each other. How can all the three be one? But if you take any one of them, like Sat, Sat means existence, to be. It is there on the root. As means to be. Sat means the state of being called existence. Now, to be or existence applies to anything that exists. Every name and form in the universe displays Sat or existence. So existence is not limited by any name and form, by any sentient, insentient being. It is all pervasive. Isn't it Sat? It is not limited by name form, not limited by time. Kalatrevi tishtadi. Tattvabodha says that which obtains in all the three periods of time, past, present and future. Waking, dream and deep sleep. Then my next question to you will be, are you there or not?
I am there.
You are there? How do you know? How do you say that? How do you say you are there?
Without any means, I know that I am there.
But how would you know that you are there without any means? You can know that you are there without means only when your being there is self-revealing. It doesn't require you to reveal that, it is self-revealing. Then only you can know. Without means, effortlessly you know that you are. That can only be possible when the fact that you are is self-revealing. Is it not so?
Yes.
Self-revealing means chit. Consciousness is self-revealing.
Anji.
And now next question is, how far existence stretches? What is the limit of existence? Limit of this consciousness. All limits can be there only when they exist. All limits can be recognized when you are conscious of them. Therefore, the existence, consciousness, they are free from all limitations. Because all boundaries are all recognized, you are conscious of them. Therefore, the conscious boundless. So boundless is called Ananda. Boundless, wholeness, completeness is called Ananda. Ananta. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes. I am sure this question was for the benefit of other people, not for his benefit. Yes.
Kaushal uncle, where are you? Here. I found Kaushal uncle. Okay. Yes, you wanted to ask a question, right? So I'm spotlighting you. Okay. We have a lot of people asking questions now.
Yes.
Yeah. Unmute yourself. Kaushal uncle, unmute yourself.
Swamiji, Shashat Pranam.
Namaskar.
So I just want to understand the basic concept. I am different from my body. And my body has also got millions of microorganisms which also has got the chetana. There is a chetana. Now the concept is that they are anatma with respect to me, big I. They are anatma. With respect to them, if the bacteria is single, one cell, if I am understanding, there is atma in that, and I am anatma, my I becomes anatma with respect to the cell. So this whole concept of the I, that is just like a big magnetic field, which is just a cosmic magnetic field, which is pervading and enlightening everything, or this is different, my atma is different and my atma is different, how this concept model is.
Yes. So when you say that you are aware of the bacteria, countless bacteria, each bacteria has its own body, and you are aware of them, And you think that you are aware of the countless Atmas, isn't it? But are you aware of the countless Atmas, or are you aware of countless bodies?
Both.
No.
They're
Atma is only inferred. You cannot be aware of Atma. You can be aware of body, which can become the object of your senses or mind. So there are countless bodies. To say that there are countless Atmas is our projection that countlessness of the body is thought to be countlessness of consciousness, and we think there are countless consciousness. No. Just as one electricity may manifest through countless bulbs, so also one consciousness manifests through countless bodies. So countlessness or manyness of body doesn't have to be manyness of Atma. Atma is just one consciousness. And so electricity may be a better example. There is no perfect example. But just one electricity, just as when it manifests through many, many bulbs and many appliances, similarly, one cell manifests through all sentient, insentient names and forms. That's consciousness. That is limitless. And there is one, non-dual.
It's a very big magnetic field which is giving the light to all this whole universe. Some big field.
But magnetic field does not give light. Magnetic field only binds things. It is
something energy. I'm talking of the energy. Some sort.
Not energy. Call it why do you call it energy? Call it consciousness. Why do you call it energy? Energy also is an unconscious concept.
There's a
Call it consciousness, just chit. So give up these ideas of magnetic field and energy and all that stuff. That's all physical stuff. Consciousness transcends, illumines all of that, pervades all of that. That's what you are.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to unspotlight him and I need to find Suchismita. Suchismita, where are you? Have you raised your hand?
Okay, I'll just raise my hand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Swamiji knows you, eh? Last time.
Yeah. Yes.
Namo Narayan.
Namaskar.
Swamiji. Thanks for meeting with us again, and it's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
So my question is that as far as I have understood, the true self is Sat Chit Ananda, of which Sat means existence, right? But then we are also told that creation itself is an illusion. And I used to think that existence comes from creation. So
Say that
how can
again.
creation be
Say that again. I didn't follow you.
I used to think that creation is what leads to existence. I thought that existence comes from creation.
Oh.
And so I was wondering, how can creation be mithya but existence be satya? Or is it that existence exists regardless of creation? And if so, how can that be? Because I can't wrap my head around how there can be existence without creation, and how creation can be mithya but existence is satya. So that's what was confusing me a little bit.
You see this part in my hand? Can you see this? Okay. So one is that there are 5 things about this part. One is that part is. It exists, right? Second is you are aware of the part. Displays awareness. Third is part serves a purpose in the scheme of things, has usefulness. Useful to somebody. Helpful to somebody. So better is this flower, you may like to see this better. Flower shines in your consciousness. Flower is beautiful, dear. Is called Asti, shines Bhati, dear Priyam, Asti Bhati Priyam. And then there is there is this name for this flower, it's called flower, as a name and a form. So every object in the universe, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is characterized by these 5 aspects: asti, bhati, priyam, rupam, nama, chet. So asti, bhati, priyam, nama and rupa. So what distinguishes one object from the other is that there is one nama rupa, there is another name and form, but that this is also asti, bhati, priyam. This also is asti, bhati, priyam. And therefore, asti, bhati, priyam. Satchit Ananda is that which pervades all the names and forms. Like the clay pervades all the pots and pans. So also asti, bhati, priyam pervades all names and forms. A pot cannot be without the clay. Take away the clay from this pot, there is no pot. So clay is called the cause, upadanaka, material cause of the pot. An entity cannot exist without the material cause. Then you can say asti, bhati, priyam is the material cause of all the names and forms, because take away existence, this cannot be. Take away asti, bhati, priyam, name and form cannot be. And therefore, name and form is called creation. In this example of pot, pot is creation. The clay is not created. Pot is created. Name and form is created. What is created is name and form. So universe consists of all the names and forms. But name and form can be there provided the cause is there to begin with. The clay must be there. So universe is characterized by names and forms which are creation, which can be there provided their cause asti, bhati, priyam is there to begin with. The pot is dependent upon clay. Clay is not dependent upon pot. Pot is because clay is. Clay is not because pot is. Clay is because clay is. Similarly, the flower is because asti, bhati, priyam is, whereas asti, bhati, priyam is independent. It's there whether the flower is there or not. Therefore, it cannot be that asti, bhati, priyam is not, it always is. Whereas the name and form like pot comes into existence, is there for a time, goes back, merges back into the cause. So that which is created, sustained, goes back is called creation. That from which it emerges, by which it is sustained, unto which it merges back, is called the cause. Asti, bhati, priyam. So, it's not that name and form give existence to asti, bhati, priyam. Asti, bhati, priyam gives existence to name and form. You follow? Not that because creation is, existence is. Because existence is, therefore creation is. Existence is, regardless of whether creation is or not, name and form is there or not. Therefore, their existence is a non-negatable principle. It is called truth or absolute reality, whereas name and form is relative reality. Like in this example of pot, the pot is incidental. Clay is essential nature, pot is incidental, comes and goes. Where pot comes and goes, clay doesn't come and go. Clay is the essential nature, pot is the incidental nature. Asti, bhati, priyam is the essential nature. Nama, rupa, creation is incidental. Incidental is called mithya, if you want to use that word. Don't illusion, mithya is the word. Mithya means that which has dependent reality. In this clay, in this pot, the name and form is dependent reality. Clay is independent reality. What is independent reality is called truth, satyam. The dependent reality is called mithya, which incidental, comes and goes, is an appearance. Because what is in my hand, you can call it pot, I can say that this is only clay. It's a little bit subtle to understand. When you use the word clay, then there is a substance which corresponds to the word clay in my hand. There is substance which corresponds to the word clay. But when you use the word pot, there is substance corresponding to the word pot. There is notion corresponding to the word pot, but not substance corresponding to the word pot. Substance is called truth, notion is called mithya. So, if you word illusion is a word which, if not properly understood, can create confusion. But call it incidental and essential. Essential is the truth, incidental is called mithya. Essential is independently existing, incidental is a dependent existence, independent reality, dependent reality. Satya and mithya. So mithya does not require satyam. Satyam requires mithya. Clay doesn't require a pot. Pot requires clay. Therefore, to say that existence is because creation is reverse. Creation is because existence is. Even if creation is not, suppose you take an object and divide and subdivide and subdivide and subdivide to, subatomic particles and, ultimately a point comes when this doesn't remain. Name and form is completely divided and therefore nothing remains. Something remains. Who remains? You remain. The one who is dividing remains, that awareness remains, existence remains. Is it subject to coming and going? You don't come and go. And therefore, it is satyam, the truth, that gives existence, awareness, satta, sphurti to this name and form, to creation. So not that existence because creation is because existence is. Is that clear?
Yes, Swamiji, thanks a lot.
All right, very
That does
good.
offer a lot of
Yeah.
Okay, we have lots of people raising hands, and so I will go with Krishna Pratap ji first. Okay, so you can unmute, and I am adding you to the spotlight.
Namaskar, Swami.
Namaskar.
I would like to understand the difference in approach and guidance given by Bhagavad Gita and Tattvabodha.
What's the question?
I would like to know the difference in approach and guidance given to us by Bhagavad Gita and Tattvabodha.
See, Bhagavad Gita teaches what Tattvabodha teaches. But Tattvabodha focuses upon just unfolding of Tattva, or the truth, which is Atma. So that certainly is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita also additionally teaches us how to live life, how to put that truth into our life, how to live a life which is in harmony to the truth, so that we progressively become ready to understand the truth and know the truth. Tattvabodha explains it by beginning with sadhana chatusya sampanna adhikarinam. Tattvabodha begins with this statement that now we will expound the nature of inquiry for those who are equipped with the fourfold qualifications: viveka, vairagya, samadhi, shirka, sampatti, mokshatvam. So Tattvabodha begins with that as the basis. This teaching is imparted to one who possesses those qualifications, that preparedness, that maturity. Whereas Bhagavad Gita addresses a more ordinary human being who may not have yet developed this maturity and teach how to develop that maturity. So Bhagavad Gita has two topics. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra. Brahma Vidya is knowledge of Brahman, same as Tattvabodha. Yoga Shastra is the preparation for Brahma Vidya. How should I live my life? I should become a yogi. Tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. Lord Krishna says, hey Arjuna, become a yogi. Become a karma yogi, a bhakti yogi. Become a yogi. Who is a yogi? Yogi is the one who lives a life in keeping with Tattva. Tattva is one, non-dual, undivided. So live a life where you start letting go of the divisions, letting go of the duality. Try to live a life based on the value of non-duality, attitude of non-duality. So Bhagavad Gita further teaches us the values and attitudes which are in harmony with Tattvam, or the truth. The Bhagavad Gita has two parts, two aspects: Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. That Yoga Shastra is not discussed in Tattvabodha and generally not much in Upanishads also, where Bhagavad Gita discusses in great detail. So that's where it distinguishes, from this text.
Thank you, Swami. Very well.
Swamiji, just let me spotlight the next person. Okay, I think the next person is Komal. Okay, Komal, you can unmute.
Hari Om
Hari Om,
Swami.
Hari Om. Yes, very good.
Swamiji, my question is, as per the Mahavakya, Tattvam Asi, you are that, and that is Brahman. And that is I also. And this I is Satchit Ananda, unlimited, whole. And this is a Sakshi. And in our minds, this appears as a reflection. Brahman appears as a reflection in our minds, This is what I understood. So, since this I is a Sakshi, how would it know that it is Satchit Ananda? There are no sense organs here. And how would it ever understand that it is unlimited and it is full and it is whole?
Very good. So, fortunately, it is unlimited, full, whole, is always experienced by us. We are all the time aware of or experiencing the whole, the limitless, the self. What is happening is, we are also experiencing the non-self. So we are experiencing two things simultaneously. The whole, the limitless as the subject, as I, and the limited body-mind complex as the object, subject and object. Both of these are experienced together. And we do not distinguish between them, therefore. We lump them together like a chocolate candy with its wrapper. So we have that both together. If you don't recognize that two entities are different, then we'll miss the true taste of chocolate. So this whole complete self-witness is always experienced because it is self-revealing, it cannot but not be experienced. But then, along with that also is experience, this body, or the mind, or the sense organs are also experienced. So Tattvabodha teaches that look, this body, sense organs, mind is something that is object of your knowledge, something that is objectified, something you are aware of. And the awarer is different from what he or she is aware of. I am aware of this part. Therefore, I, the awarer, is different from the part which is the object of awareness. Part is called drishya, the object. I am called drashta, the subject. So, subject is always experienced because it is self-revealing, self-shining. Object is experienced because it is revealed by the self, not self-shining. And therefore we have to see this distinction and give up the identification. Stop declaring body to be myself. Recognize body is object of my knowledge. I am the subject. The mind is object of my knowledge. I am the subject. Just let go the identification with this drishya, the object of knowledge, and Atma. And then you always are there. So all that remains is you. When what is not you is let go the identification, what remains is you. It's not that the you is newly experienced, it's always experienced. But we're mixing up the wrapper along with the chocolate. So wrapper has to be removed. And that's how you recognize yourself as chocolate. That's the Viveka.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Arora uncle. Okay, you can unmute Uncle Ji, and I'm adding you as a spotlight.
Namaskar.
Swamiji, pranam.
Namaskar.
Pranam.
Yes.
My little doubt. This deep sleep state is compared to bliss sheath in Panchkosh Vivek. But sleep comes from tamogud. Why it is named bliss?
Well, there is bliss in the deep sleep.
Yeah, that is correct.
Because sukham
But
hamaswapsam, I slept well. The only thing is, there is a difference between the deep sleep and bliss sheath. Definitely, big difference. What is there in both the experiences is bliss or ananda, happiness. Except in deep sleep state there is the veil of ignorance. In the Anandamaya kosha or bliss sheath there is awareness. Anandamaya kosha is characterized by sattva guna, whereas the deep sleep is characterized by tamoguna. Whose experience is the same. We are experiencing the self or the bliss in both the states, except that in one state, deep sleep state, I am not aware that I am experiencing that. In the Anandamaya kosha bliss sheath, I am aware that I'm experiencing. So there is a huge difference of day and night. But deep sleep is presented more as an example of bliss sheath rather than bliss sheath itself. It's an example. The bliss is, however...
Here lies the doubt, because bliss is a great word. It's a false bliss. It's actually false bliss, which which we experience in deep sleep. It's not actually bliss. It cannot be bliss. It is ignorance. So ignorance is the lowest thing, and we highlight it as a bliss. That makes a confusion, little doubt in the mind.
It is bliss with ignorance, not only ignorance, and not only bliss. Deep sleep state is bliss with ignorance, meaning that there is experience of bliss, but I do not know that I'm experiencing. Right now also, I'm experiencing the self, which is bliss. I do not know. You follow? Ignorance deprives me of the recognition of what I'm experiencing. That's called ignorance. So in the deep sleep state, there is this veil of ignorance. What is this bliss? You cannot, there's nothing other than bliss really. Atma is bliss. I'm always experiencing that in all states. Not only in deep sleep.
Is it not false bliss?
No, it's not false bliss. It is bliss without recognition, without being aware of it. Because what do you mean by false bliss? False bliss means there is sorrow. You don't see you experience sorrow in a deep sleep state.
Nay, worldly pleasures, what they are.
But we are not, because worldly pleasure requires the operation of sense organs with the objects of the world. Deep sleep state, sense organs are not functioning. Therefore, I am not experiencing the world at that time. The only thing that I can experience is myself. Except at that time, there is a veil of ignorance, therefore, I am not aware that I am experiencing myself. But other than myself, the gross world, the subtle world, all of that is dropped. So, what you are experiencing is always bliss. With gross body, with subtle body, they are dropped. Therefore, now there is nothing between you and bliss other than veil of ignorance. Therefore, that state is very close to the bliss sheath. That's why I gave as an example. In what we call bliss sheath, or Anandamaya Kosha, this awareness of that bliss, that veil of ignorance is essentially gone. There is sattva. Whereas one, in deep sleep there is tamas, in the bliss sheath there is sattva. One is darkness, other there is light. So bliss sheath is very close to the knowledge. But there also I am not quite aware that what I am experiencing is myself. I am experiencing bliss. Recognizing that bliss is myself is called knowledge. Not recognized is called sheath. There is no false bliss. There is only bliss. There is awareness of bliss or lack of awareness. That's the difference.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Swamiji, there are still people, So here, he's also part of the Rabi Ranjan. He's a Bengali, so Rabi.
Yes.
Huh?
Yep.
So I am spotlighting you. Yeah.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaskar.
As you said in response to earlier questions, that consciousness is not an individual attribute, but it is the same undivisible consciousness which is permeating everything. So, what is then the difference between what we generally know, what we generally classify as inanimate objects and animate objects? Between human beings, animals, plants on one hand, and inanimate objects like metals, wood, etc. If the same consciousness is permeating everything.
The difference is the presence and absence of Sukshma Sharira or subtle body. This subtle body is like a tungsten filament in a bulb. When tungsten filament is there, then electricity manifests as light. Whereas in a heater, the tungsten filament, that where the electricity doesn't manifest as light. Same electricity. Manifesting as light, when a special cause is there, special medium is there called tungsten. This is an example, tungsten filament. Electricity remaining the same, its manifestation is different depending upon the appliance. Same electricity manifests as light in one appliance, heat in another appliance, depending upon the difference in nature of appliance. This one appliance here, where the self manifests as consciousness, ascensioncy I should say. This is another one, another appliance where the consciousness manifests insentient. So this doesn't have subtle body, this one has subtle body. So what is different is the nature of manifestation of consciousness. Not what manifests is the same. But nature of manifestation is determined by the medium of manifestation. The subtle body is not there in what we call an insentient object. Subtle body is there in what we call sentient objects. That's the difference. But same consciousness manifests in both of them.
Okay, that cleared my understanding.
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
good.
And I think now our Pavitra, is here. Yes, Pavitra. Yeah.
Pranam Swamiji.
Yes, namaskar.
Delight to see you.
Yeah.
Swamiji, if consciousness, because it's Satchidananda, it reflects, it is all powerful, all omniscient, then why does it reflect through Jiva and make it limited and with all its limitations, Swamiji? Won't the consciousness reflect through its manifestation and also make it all powerful and self-shining?
It does, but the problem is with the recognition of what is. Not that consciousness has become small or limited when it manifests through this body-mind complex. We recognize it as limited. Like the sun reflects in a pool of water. What reflects? Same sun, same brightness. But if the water is dirty, then the reflection appears, hazy. If the water is moving, then reflection also appears to be moving. So therefore the limitedness, the impurities, the restlessness that we feel about ourselves, it all belongs to the reflecting medium, namely our mind, along with the body, and not what reflects. The image is the same. The conclusion of limitedness, of impure self, of restlessness, it all belongs to the reflecting medium, which is mind, and not what reflects, namely the self. Therefore, we can now also, if you look at ourselves, say, I'm restless. Ask myself, what is restless? Who says I'm restless? You may have heard this Puja Swami's, conversation with the person who says, Swamiji, I'm restless. Swami says, no, you're all silence. Swamiji, I am restless. You're all silence. I am restless. You're all silence. That fellow became really restless, and Swami said, there is a time and limit now. And so Swami said, okay, how do you say you're restless? I know I am restless. How do you know you're restless? My mind is restless. So you are aware of a restless mind. The one who is aware of restless mind is not restless. So the recognition of consciousness, which is ever the same, we are lumping together what is not consciousness and then concluding that we are limited, we are helpless. All limitedness belongs to the reflecting medium, not the image that gets reflected. So that's what Vedanta teaches. Because the reflection carries all the qualities of the image. Even though the reflection of sun in water may look restless, may look dirty, may look hazy, we have to do this discrimination. Haziness does not belong to reflection. Movement does not belong to reflection. Smallness does not belong to, they all belong to water, the reflecting medium. That's called Viveka. It is due to aviveka or lumping these two that we conclude that consciousness becomes small and limited and helpless. It's not the case. There is smallness someplace, not in image, consciousness, in the mind where it reflects. So recognize that all limitations belong to mind and the body. But then let it be. When you recognize that limitations do not belong to I, we don't mind limitation. We have problem with limitation when those limitations belong to I. Something becomes a problem when it gets related to I. Otherwise the thing is a problem. Death is also not a problem if it's not I. Limitation also not a problem if it is not centered on I. So Vedanta teaches that it is not centered on I. Think it is centered on I, it is not. Is there some place in the mind? Let it be. If I know it's in mind, I don't mind. I don't mind mind being limited. I mind I being limited. You follow? So this is what we are invited to recognize. That there are limitations. But not in I. In that case, it doesn't matter. Let it be. You can enjoy limitation. As long as it does not belong to you. And it becomes something that you can watch and enjoy. Yes. Oh.
I think that concludes Swamiji, and just I don't know how to thank you. It's such a blessing. Swamiji's presence is such a blessing. Swamiji's clarity is such a blessing. I really don't know what to say, So we have here Swamini Chitsaranandji. There was one Swamini also from Russia. Swamini Umanandji was there. My dear friend Savitri is here. And of course, lot of students and a lot of Swamiji's group is also here. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Swamini Sumatmanandji is here.
Okay, very good.
So Sumatmanandji, just 1 minute, I'll just, because she'd be really happy. Sumatmanandji, you can say something
yes,
if you like to Swamiji.
Very good.
Unmute.
Pranam Swamiji.
Good. How are you, Swamiji? Good.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah.
It's such a joy to hear your morning lectures. And Swamiji, your book, Kaivalya Upanishad, is so brilliant. I used it to, I have conducted a few classes. And I'm really enjoying, and like Swamini Tattvabodha says, we don't know how to express our gratitude for being what
all
you
up
are.
There. It all belongs there. It all belongs. You see what is behind me. Maybe you don't see, but that's all there. Behind me, on the side of me, this side, they are all
The
there.
reflection, Swamiji,
That's where it belongs.
The divine reflection in you.
So how are you? Yes, I can see her also. Yes.
Yes. So I spotlighted her also because these are all my Swamini friends,
Yes,
who
I
have
know.
come.
I know.
I was not able to find Umanandji because I think her video is off probably. And some students from the Rishikesh course, Kalpana of course said hello to you.
Okay.
And maybe a couple of them had come. Umananji, if you unmute, no, we can quickly say namaskaram to Swamiji and then we will conclude this. Unmute and start your video. No? Okay.
How are you, Swaminiji? Yeah, very good.
Okay, Swamiji. And then there is another girl here, Renate. She's from Australia. She was also there, in the Tattvabodha group. She used to come for the Tattvabodha, all those 20 classes she came.
Yes. So, Swami, you can show all the participants at a time, can you?
Yes, I can. I can show you now. I'll remove all the, I'll remove all the spotlights, and we'll be back on the gallery view. So Swamiji needs to go to gallery view now. Maybe Karthik can do it for you. Go to gallery view. Then you can see, and it'll be different. The order that you see and the order that I see will be different. And then you can, you can pan it. There are 3 screens. And each screen probably has 25, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Each screen would have 25 people. So at the moment, we've got about 55 people on this thing. So I can tell you some names here. We have Hema Krishna Swami. Okay. Here's Raksha. Can you see her?
Yes, I see her, yeah. Very good.
Okay. Yeah. I come back to the gallery view and remove her from the spotlight. And then we have Rupa Nodia. Okay, Rupa is here very much. Can you see her?
अभी दिखाएगी.
1 minute, I will spotlight her. Here's
There
Rupa.
he is, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
very good, very nice.
And go back to gallery view. And then here's Kimoti's. They have, Kimoti uncle has broken his, has a crack in his back, and, she's on for a surgery now. Shakuntala is on for a surgery.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm going to spotlight you also, Swamiji, because they'd be very happy to see you like that. So that's them. You can unmute. They don't know how to unmute, I think. Unmute or kuch bol do, Swamiji say. Oh, their granddaughter is there with them.
Oh.
It's her phone. That is Punita's daughter.
Okay. Oh, how nice.
Punita's daughter. You have to still unmute, beta.
Hello, Swamiji.
Hello.
Punita's daughter.
Yes. How nice.
She's Isha.
That's the 3rd generation, yeah.
Yeah, the 3rd generation. Namaste bol do, Paritosh bula do. Paritosh, you have to bend down some more. We can't see you.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Pranam. How are you?
I'm okay,
Good.
Swamiji.
Are you well?
He's neatly combed his hair and all.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Because in public view.
Okay, then I'm unspotting you. Okay, remove the spotlight, go back to gallery. Let's see others. I'll quickly tell you. There is Chuck. No, that must be Rupa.
Yeah.
Then Renate Ganpat Rai. He is not part of the group. Khurana ji. Okay. Arura uncle. Dr. Rakesh Shah. Yes, he's there. Then Mahendra Lalani.
Yeah, he's also there. Yeah, okay.
He's also there. Vijay Ramprasad.
Maybe nothing but pranam can be done.
Oh.
Yeah, all are doing pranam.
Oh, nice.
And then we have Smita. I have a very young person who dreamt of you, Swamiji, Tanvi. And she doesn't know why she dreamt of you, because she comes to my place and she sees your photo here. I think that's how she dreamt of you. Mera uncle is here. And this is a very auspicious day for Mera uncle because today his 5th chemotherapy is over.
Okay.
And now he has to go for a PET scan and see what it is. So.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Okay. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Yes.
Yes, I'm doing well.
Oh, okay. Now I'm removing that spotlight. Then we have Suchismita, Oh, Umananji. She is the one, Swamiji,
Yep.
who's from Russia.
There she is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swamini Umananji.
We spoke to her on the
You can unmute Umananji.
Last time she had a question, and we had a conversation with her answering that question, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Then we have my friend Savitri, Suchismita. Here's Indu. These people, Swamiji, they all join me for Hanuman Chalisa on every Saturday. And every day we are praying for Swamiji, okay?
Oh, how
and
nice.
there's Mrs. Pramanik. She's also from the Tattvabodha group. Then I don't know who this person is. Sakshi, Varsha, Nikita. I think Nikita knows you since a long time, Swamiji. Here's Nikita. Trivedi.
Swamiji.
Oh, okay. There she is. Yes. Yeah.
Swamiji, I used to attend the ashram activities in Ahmedabad.
Yes. You were there also in that webinar, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is sort of like a mini webinar. Then Ravinder Balaji, I don't know who that person is. Here's Thomas Philip, okay? He's Savitri's fiancé. He also has been listening to Tattvabodha.
How nice.
And then there is Hiral Hindocha, Ravinder Balaji. I don't know these people. And there's one Om. And Neelam. Oh, Neelam Jairath. She's in the car. Okay. Here's Neelam Jairath. Yeah. She's in her car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see her. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see her daughter. Yeah, both of them.
Okay. And then there is Meera Patel. Shobha Damani. She's from the Tattvabodha group. Sumatma Adarsh is also from the Tattvabodha group. Harsha Bhatt. Harsha Bhatt is Swami Brahma, Baroda Swami.
Brahmatmananda.
But now she's in Canada.
Yes, she's in Canada. I know her. Yes. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
She's also muted, so you can't hear her anyway. Then, I've gone back to the first screen. Okay, people are, leaving. I think there's Monica. She's our youngest. Monica is our youngest group. Otherwise, we are all senior citizens.
Yes.
And she's the youngest. So she's now near Ahmedabad. Hopefully, one day she'll visit you.
Oh, okay.
She's in Mehsana.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Good. Very
Your
good.
net is bad, Monica. Can't hear you, huh? Okay, and that's it, I think, Swamiji. So let me come back and just spotlight you for everybody, okay? And just my deepest thanks. Know how fulfilled we feel, when we see you and we're able to interact with you like this. And I'm just going to ask everybody that would you like to have these kind of webinars once in a while?
Yes.
Okay, would you want to ask a question, Chitsara?
Yes.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Saraji, would you like to ask a question? You raised your hand, eh?
We really enjoyed. We want again.
Thank you very much. We're happy.
Swamiji.
Yes.
Hari Om.
Hari
So
Om.
lovely to have your darshan. I don't have a question at the moment. I just wanted to say pranam and thank you very much. Lovely to see you again.
All right. Okay. Bye. Goodbye. Hari Om.
And there one more person, Rani Seth from Toronto. She also wants to specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
There she is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. And also.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Okay, Swamiji, I think that's it, Thank you.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Pranam, Guruji. Hari Om,
Namaskar.
Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Swamiji has given us almost 2 hours. It's very tiring, I'm sure, for him. But thank you for making us all so happy. And I hope we can, continue with this kind of webinar. I'm thinking with this Tattvabodha group, I will continue with Swamiji's video with Vision of Upanishad. It's just 6 videos.
Okay.
So after that, we will come back to you again.
All right. Okay. All right. Very good.
Swamiji, I would like to say something.
Somebody wants to say something.
Yeah. Your first session on Tattvabodha has been so wonderful that I must have shared with uncounted number of people. Because it tells why we should study this. It is an excellent video, the first one. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Om Swamiji.
Oh, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Pranam, Swamiji. Thank you.
Anvi, you can say hello to Swamiji since you dreamt about him. Unmute and show your face.
Now mute.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Hari Om. Yes.
It was like my higher self was talking to me, and I could see you. You were guiding me that you are on the right path. So I think that's how I dreamt of you. And Swamiji is like
No. Now that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. That's right. That's right.
Thank you so much.
This little girl, she's going to come out well, huh? Okay, and that's
All right.
Swami's little
Okay.
grand. Okay, Swamiji, thank you so much. Okay, Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So you